Hi, my name's Mike, and today I wanted to talk about ways that you can quiz yourself much more effectively on any material that you're actually trying to learn. Many of my students come to me and they say, I study a lot, I seem to put a lot of effort into it, but then I take the test and I don't really know it, or I spend way too many hours on it. What's my problem? And we look at the way that they study. And the first thing that they do is they show me how they quiz themselves. Let's say the student is trying to learn 100 vocabulary words. What they'll do typically is start with a pile of vocabulary words, start at the top and quiz themselves. Gee, do I know this word? And if they think they know it, great, shove it off to the side, good job. And if they think they don't know it, then their first reaction is to turn that card over, look at the back, and then say the magic 3 words, I knew that. And that's how you know that you don't really know it. If you have to wait until you turn the card over and look at the back to say, oh yeah, I knew that, then you didn't know it. So what are my students doing by using this method? Number one, they're not double checking to see if they actually know the things that they do know, because when they get to a card that they know, they just shove it off to the side. And number two, they're not forcing themselves to really think and learn when they don't know a card. They're just giving into the desire for immediate gratification, turning the card over, looking at the back and saying, oh yeah, I knew that. Both of those techniques are wrong. What you want to do with any body of knowledge that you're trying to learn, whether it's index cards or a list of terms for chemistry or a bunch of dates for history, or you're trying to learn anything, you want to quiz yourself in the following way. When you look at a question, whether it's the front side of a vocab index card or a math index card that's got some kind of geometry problem on the front of it, whatever it is, when you look at the question, if you think you know it, turn it over and check to make sure that you're right. And if you think you don't know it, don't turn it over. Those are the 2 most important rules of quizzing yourself using anything, but specifically here, index cards. If you think you know it, turn it over and check. If you think you don't know it, don't turn it over. Why do we do this? Well, if we're quizzing ourselves on something and we think we know it, obviously we want to confirm, make sure that we're right. You wouldn't want to give yourself a false sense of security and say, hey, I really knew that, when you didn't know it. So we turn over things that we think we know. Now, why do we not turn over things that we don't know? Most of my students have a lot of trouble with this. They say, Mike, I didn't know it. Shouldn't I turn it over and look at the back and try to learn it right now? And I say, no. Quizzing is not studying. Quizzing is just separating. All you're trying to do is separate the stuff that you know from the stuff that you don't know so you can study the stuff that you don't know later. And you can put aside the stuff that you do know and not work on that for, a number of days or a week or whatever. So quizzing is not studying. Quizzing is separating. All you're trying to do is separate what you know from what you don't know. So that means that if you get to a card that you don't think you know, don't turn it over. Shove it off to the side. We're not studying right now, we're quizzing. Quizzing is not studying, quizzing is separating. We separated out that don't know card and we'll work on it later. So, quizzing is not studying. Quizzing is separating. And with that in mind, when you're looking at a card that you think you know, turn it over and check to make sure that you're right. And if you're looking at a card that you think you don't know, don't just turn it over. Put it off to the side, separate it out, and we'll worry about it later. So, to summarize, if you think you know it, turn it over and check. If you think you don't know it, don't turn it over. Just separate it out and we'll worry about it later.